Welcome back to the Murdy Creative Co podcast. I'm your host, Colin Murdy, and today's topic is we're back. But first, I want to say thank you to everyone who's supported the company so far. If you got a chance, go check us out on the web at Murdy Creative Co. That's M-U-R-D-Y creative.co, or you can check us out on all of our social medias. The links are in the top of the description. Be sure to join our Discord to get behind the scenes, as well as all sorts of great email things in our email list. So definitely subscribe to that if you're not already. It has been months since I've podcasted. I have shirked my responsibility to you, the viewers, and I am sorry for that. But it has been a busy couple of months, to say the least, and all the more reason to podcast, Colin, I hear you say. But one of the things that I'm doing to help make it so it's easier for me to podcast is I'm moving the podcast day back to Thursday. And we're going to do the behind the scenes email on Tuesday, I think, or I might move that to Friday. We'll see. But either way, the problem was that by having the podcast on Tuesday, it meant that Monday morning I had to be recording the podcast. Otherwise, I didn't have time for it to render on my computer and get it posted for the 7 a.m. podcast launch on Tuesdays. And that just meant that my Mondays got really, really tight. So that's part of why I ended up skipping it a couple of weeks, and then a couple of weeks turned into longer, and here we are. So there's too much to cover all of what we have missed in the last 3 months per se. If you want to get a little more in-depth detail, I did do quite a few more behind the scenes emails. You can check that out on our website. If you go to I think it's on the About tab, and you go into there's a behind the scenes blog link. That's where I've been posting a long form version of the written version. It's not exactly the same as the podcast. I cover different things, mostly because I don't know how to keep myself consistent enough to both read and write and speak all of the same things together for the podcast and the behind the scenes. So it's its own unique thing. Check that out. And I will keep doing that because that's actually a lot easier to do than recording a podcast. But I will do my best to hit some of the highlights and talk about where we are now and what exciting things we have on the future and on the horizon. And one of the first things to cover is the fact that the clock is ticking for me. I have 2 children. I am very blessed in that way. I have a third children coming sometime at the beginning of July, we hope. And if that happens the way we hope it will, I've got like 3 or 4 weeks at most of time before I'm going to go out on paternity leave. And of course, you may ask yourself, Colin, why would a small business owner who is so dedicated to his craft, who needs to be here to keep this operation running, how can you take time off for paternity leave? And the answer is how can I not? I have a brand new baby, and I am blessed to say that I have an excellent team here who's able to manage things. It's actually been a wonderful evolution of the company over the last 6 months. This last Christmas and before that was very much me in production every day, making journals, and it was very, very intense. And it was very difficult because I couldn't do much to push the company forward with new marketing, with new designs, with new ideas. I didn't have the opportunity to do that because I was so busy doing the actual things. It's a classic question that I get asked all the time when we talk about it in a CEO group, which is, are you working in your business or are you working on your business? It's a great question. It's a question we should ask ourselves for all sorts of projects and things that we're responsible for, but I digress. So one of the goals this year was to get me so that I did not have to do production on a day-to-day basis unless it was absolutely necessary, unless we were way behind, unless something, there's a huge bulk order that needed to be done, right? And I am happy to say we've succeeded in that. I had to jump into production only a handful of times, and for very good reasons. And so because of that, it has opened me up to do a lot of things that I have wanted to do for years. And we've got a lot of those things that have come to fruition. There's things I'm going to talk briefly about my pen that I've been working on for the last month. And I'm very excited. It is going along great. I'm having amazing progress with it. And we should be on time to launch it hopefully this fall. There's only one piece of it left that really needs to get finalized, but it's not technically part of the action, the part that makes it click. So with all of the clicking part taken care of, with all of the design parts taken care of that are clicking, all that's left is the clip. The clip is its own thing. It's going to be a whole pain in the butt. But beside that point, the fact that I've had such success with it thus far, I am confident to say we are going to be launching it. Exactly when, still up in the air, but I'm making great progress on that, and I'm happy to be saying that. But unfortunately, I have to put that aside because in the next 4 weeks, I've got a lot to get done. One of the things that we are working on doing is totally overhauling the website, which of course is a big ask, especially in the time crunch we have. But one of the things that has been on our mind and has been a discussion we've had with customers in the past, and it's been an ongoing discussion with you guys, is how can we make our website better? Now, Better at what is really the question. And the short answer for both parties is better at selling the product. And what I mean by that is if you're the person buying the product, I can't compel you to buy my product. I have to convince you. I have to explain to you. I have to show you why my product is better than all the others out there and why it's better for you to have than to not have, right? Why my product is worth more to you than the dollars that you are going to be spending on it, right? So that process of education and communication is done on the website for the most part. Obviously, social media plays an aspect of it. Even here in the podcast plays an aspect of it. But the website is really where the bulk and the meat of that happens. So better communication, better information, better organization leads to more sales, which both parties are happy with. But how do we do that? It's easy to make a website selling one thing. That's actually very easy. And it's relatively easy to make a product that sells one thing with a few variations, right? You can focus on the product and then add on a little bit for the variations. But we are now getting to the point now where we have some very real differences in our products, some very complicated aspects of our product line, and some very unique applications of our product to some extent. And that's only going to get worse as time goes on. So we need to overhaul our website. One of the things that is a shifting aspect of the world at large is the shift from photos that are what I'll describe as clean white background photos to style photos, lifestyle photos, photos that show the product in action. And I'm happy to say that that's a good thing, right? I will say it makes it more difficult to compare products apples to apples, because when you've got two white background photos that are scaled the same, you can see them side by side and go, okay, here's visually the differences in size. It's trickier to do that when you've got a photo of somebody walking with it in the woods, right? That's a trickier comparison to make. However, it's more practical to see it in action and to see how you would use it and to create that understanding with the customer. Oh, this is an example of how this product might be in their lives, right? That's a more compelling and meaningful way of looking at the product. But I have to develop a website that can do both, that can both allow for people to compare the wide variety of products we have and at the same time is based off of lifestyle shots, is based off of the product in use. And it's going to require an enormous amount of photography work, of course, which is just, it's not hard. That's okay. Photography work, in my opinion, at least what we're doing with our product shots, is not too challenging, technically speaking. We have an excellent camera. It takes good photos. The editing process is relatively straightforward, in part because the camera takes great photos. However, it's the creativity to say, how do we showcase this product in use? And the answer is not just what are the use cases for the product, and let's just take a picture of someone using the product in that way, because that doesn't really convey the use all the time very well. Sometimes just a shot of someone sitting there writing in a journal, it doesn't really convey what the journal is in a bigger picture, right? Someone sitting on the edge of a cliff with a beautiful vista writing in their journal, that might convey a much better sense of what a journal can do for you, right? It can create that aspirational understanding that an adventure is your life and you should write about it, right? That's a much better way of pushing the narrative in a way that makes sense to people, right? That's more compelling than someone just sitting at a desk writing. However, you have to have someone on the side of a cliff to do that photo, right? So this is where it gets challenging in that the photography requires a broad sense of use and it has to be practically done. We don't have CGI. Even AI to some extent isn't quite where it needs to be able to render that photo in photorealism that's perfect, right? And the AI generated images has its own challenges where there's both a reality and an unreality to them that can be tricky. So the photography work is going to be a lot. It really will be a lot. And we're working on coming up with methods to make it not quite so burdensome, to make it relatively straightforward, to make a variety of shots. And obviously there's going to be, I call them non-white background, white background photos. And what that means is that they're photos where the background isn't white, but it's also not a lifestyle shot. And I'll give you an example. And we'll use this a lot on our website, so you'll see it practically soon enough. It's an overhead shot of the product sitting on a desk with a pocket watch and a glasses and a pen sitting next to it. Like it's in its environment, but it's not really being used in a specific way. So those non-white background white background photos. And I call them white background photos because they are a stable way of comparing products. It's a way that you can compare two products side by side, functionally speaking, without actually having to have them be in the same photo, by maintaining that same distance from the product and whatnot. Those photos are more interesting to look at. Hopefully we can get a lot of those shots done relatively quickly. And we're working on new studios to make the backgrounds more interesting and better and all sorts of good things like that. And there's just a practical reality to it. Not only that, there's a whole new challenge of laying out the website. Now, we've talked in the past about doing menu changes and trying to balance the different menus and the way that they all work. That's obviously a whole thing. And that's an ongoing process. But beyond the actual menus themselves, there's the structure of the website. And what I mean by that is, what's the path you take as a customer? Now, the world of what path you take as a customer is about as myriad as the number of customers that there are in the world. And that is to say, there is almost an infinite number of possibilities. Some customers prefer to be able to get right to the product page. They want to get right to the product. They want to be able to hit the checkout button. They want to buy. They want less than 2 clicks or 3 clicks, right? How do you deal with those customers while at the same time having a website that can take someone who knows nothing about the company that we make leather products and guide them through all of the different products we sell to find the one that best fits their needs? That's 2 totally different journeys with totally different lengths, with totally different page views, with totally different purposes in some regards, right? One's much more practical, one's much more path-based. Now, for me, anecdotally, I think that we're better off leaning more towards the journey, the longer journey to the purchase, in light of the fact that our products are more expensive. And so I don't really think that they're impulse buys for most people. There are obviously some people that impulse buy yachts. So, there's some people that have that capability. But for most people, our product is a push. It's not something that you can just drop the money on, right? You have to save for it, or you have to think about what you're not going to get instead, right? I totally understand that and respect that. And so that's where the journey might be better off for some people to say, okay, let's walk you through a couple of steps. Let's realize that this process is not going to be quick. It needs to be intentional, and we need to help you see why this is the best way of doing it. And I'll give you an example of how this plays out. I have, in the past history of the company, used on a regular basis at different times 6 products. For a while, I used my classic cut journal. That was my daily driver. I carried that around. I wrote stuff in it all the time. It has now shifted to my personal journal exclusively, basically. I switched to a mini cut journal. That was what was in my pocket. That lived in my mom and I joke about that. We call those our brain, right? Because that's where I would dump all of my notes. I have used the pocket cut version of the covers more recently. That's what I keep in my pocket all the time. And I've also used the 5x7 journal, the leather cover, 5x7 leather cover for my notes that I used at the beginning of the year. And now I have switched to using a folder, which I used for a while, and this engineering computational paper, which, by the way, we don't sell on our website, but you can get on Amazon. And I actually recommend the Amazon Basics version of it personally, because it's a thinner paper, which means that you can fit more of them without it feeling weird. So I usually just get I think it's called engineering computational pad. That's what it's called. And it comes in a glued top. You just tear off the pages. So that's what I use, right? So the different use cases, the different examples, even in my own personal life, means that when I'm trying to craft a path to the website, I need to say to you, the customer, what do you think is your real use case, right? Are you the kind of person that carries something in your purse or in your pocket or in your jacket, your coat pocket, your jacket pocket? Are you the kind of person that wants to work on a larger sheet of paper? Are you the kind of person that wants to have a lot of variety in the page that you're using, right? You want something that has dot and blank and lined. Are you the kind of person that wants to have the ability to remove pages and change them out? Do you want to have something that's more stable, static, right? That's something you'd put on the shelf when you're done writing in it, right? All of those aspects are unique to the individual, right? So being able to say, okay, we've got products for all of those things, but we need to guide you to the right product. That's going to be challenging. So overhauling the website in its layout and design, as well as overhauling all of the photography, is a huge leap. It's a big lift, and it's going to happen in a very short period of time. To make matters worse, we just got off of our email provider and switched to a new provider. And you may say to yourself, Colin, why would you do that in the midst of this other thing? And the answer is because our other provider was not doing very well, and it was very expensive. So in the big picture of things, it's probably better to get off of that and rebuild our emails on the different platform, which we're now using Shopify emails. We were using Klaviyo, and it's not that Klaviyo was working bad. I feel like that's probably a misnomer. We were not using Klaviyo to its full capabilities. I don't think we're going to use Klaviyo to its full capabilities. We don't really have the bandwidth to support that, and frankly, I don't think the additional benefit we would get by using it to its full capabilities would really be much beyond a little bit. So because of that, and we need to rebuild all of our email flows, our welcome flows, our browse abandonment, our cart abandonment, our post-purchase flow, all of these different things that we've got that are our email flows. When you come to our website and you sign up, you get flows. You get dropped into a series of emails that are designed to educate you and help you. We needed to redo all of those anyway. They've been up for years without changing. And some of them had colors that we don't sell anymore. Some of them had products that we don't really sell anymore. Like it's a whole, that needed to be done. So I said, well, if we're going to update our flows and we're generating all this new creative content via our photography and we're rebuilding the website, we should keep them united. We should rebuild our emails. We should rebuild all of those things. So on Friday, I switched over to our new email provider and I built out one email flows for all of those 4 major flows. So they have one email in them. That's not enough, right? I think our old flows for our welcome flows had 8. That was too many. That was definitely too many. So we're going to try to find some middle ground here where we can work on finding those. And so I have to build out all the new emails for those flows, which takes time. And I got a new photography for those flows because, like I said, a lot of the old photos we have just aren't usable anymore. They're just not the products we sell. I'm not building them one for one. I'm creating new ones, right? So they have a certain amount of creative demand there. And to make matters worse, we've totally overhauled our advertising strategy on Facebook and Instagram as well, which is its own thing. Now, that deserves its own podcast. And frankly, the results are too early to tell if it's working or not. So maybe I'll leave that one for next week. But in the meantime, I got a lot that has to get done in a very short period of time. And a lot of it's going to be very creatively taxing, which that's how it goes. But that's the way it goes. And I'm glad that I'm not in production every day so I can spend time doing new photos and building out new websites and building out things like that will hopefully help educate you, the customer, on the best product for you. And for those of you who've already purchased from us, obviously, we want to help you get that next thing that'll be able to build out your collection because we have a lot of great things that work together well. Like I said, I use the Pocket Cut for my day in my pocket, and I carry around a folder with real full-size pages for when I need something that's a little bit more landscape territory. So that's how I use mine. Obviously, I am hoping that we get back into the weekly swing of things, at least for the next few weeks. Once I go out on paternity leave, I'm going to be out for a while. I'm probably not even going to do behind the scenes, although I may have one of my employees take over that for a little while. That would be fun. Plus, I want to hear what's going on, so maybe it'd be good for them to write that out. But anyway, we appreciate all of you who've stayed tuned in thus far and who've stayed subscribed. We want you obviously to stay subscribed going into the future and check out the behind the scenes emails if you haven't already. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm going to switch these over to Thursdays, so keep checking in on Thursdays for these podcast episodes. If you have any questions or concerns, obviously we're here to help. Send us an email, sales@murdycreative.co, sales@murdycreative.co. You can also reach out to us on the main page of our website at the very bottom there of that home screen. We have a contact form. That will, by the way, be the case in the new website and in all websites ad nauseum out into the future because it's too helpful for that purpose. So check that out there if you're interested. Be sure to also check out our email and text message, our social medias. You can reach out there and see those. We don't respond to those as often just because there's so many of them and there's so many messages that come in on all the different platforms all the time. It's difficult to keep track of them. But be sure to give us a phone call or a text message at 414-434-9001. That's 414-434-9001. You can call us or text us during work hours, which is 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central Time for us. We would love to help you. We're happy to help. So please reach out to us at that. If you have a quick question, that's a great place to get answers. If you want to leave us a good review, you can check out our murdycreative.co/review to leave us a review, or you can check out murdycreative.co/reviews to read our reviews. We love seeing those. They really do make us happy. I've read all of those. We have over 100 good 5-star reviews on Google right now. I read them out loud to the team whenever we get them in. Obviously, it brightens our day, and we recognize the names, right? So if you're the person who got a product and you are the one that's leaving the review, I usually go to whoever made your product and I, give them a good pat on the back and say, way to go. Obviously, I read it out to everybody so they all see that. So, for those of you who really like doing that, it really means the world to us to hear that. Word of mouth is the best form of advertising. Tell your friends about the company. Join our collabs program if you want to be an influencer in your own right and share that with your things. So you can get 15% of a commission off of whatever sales you make through that link, and the people that come through that link get 10% off their purchase. So join our collabs program at murdycreative.co/collab, or there's a little affiliate marketing thing on the main page of the website or at the top bar. So reach out to us if you have any questions about that as well. We're happy to help. If you're looking for multiple items for gifts, giveaways, menus, really any reason, we have bulk discounts built right into the cart. All you need to do is add whatever quantity you desire to your cart. You can mix and match to your heart's desire. It's purely based off the total cart quantity. And you hit checkout, and it'll automatically apply the appropriate discount for the bulk that you are purchasing. We have no minimum order quantities and we have no setup fees and no minimum order quantities for engravings. So you can get just one item if you'd like. It's got a flat fee based off of the size of the engraving. It's normally about $15. And you can get your company logo if it's your logo. Obviously, we can't do copyright stuff. You can get your name, you can get signatures, you can get all sorts of cool things on there. Go to our website, click the blue Add Custom Engraving button on the main product pages of the products themselves. That'll take you to the customizer. Be sure to select in that customizer the color, the insert, things like that. And then be sure to add and upload your logo so you can resize, rotate, reposition, all the usual things. And then we make it using that exact thing you created. So it's a great way to obviously get exactly what you want made. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a great day, and goodbye.